Okay, we are up to chapter 22. And in chapter 21, Thomas, Chipstick, and all his friends all now know about the dragon. But they like Flicker. They really like Flicker. They want to spend more time with Flicker. In fact, they want to have their turn with Flicker. And Thomas is thinking, hang on, this isn't a toy. I don't really want to share my dragon. And then Ted says, didn't you say there were more dragon fruits? So now they've had this brainwave that actually there is more dragons, or there can be more dragons, and that potentially they could all have a dragon pet. So Chipstick has been keeping an eye on the lovely flowers that have been blooming, the tendrils, and he's been waiting and waiting because he knew that after the flower bloomed would come the fruit, and that after the fruit needs to turn a certain colour before it's ripe, and then potentially we could have more dragons. So he's been going backwards and forwards to Nan and Grandad's house. And each day he's been going back to school and he's been shaking his head. And they've been waiting and they've been waiting. But now we know the fruit is the right colour. They are ripe. We could have dragons. So that takes us to chapter 22. And it's called Operation Fruit Burst. Luckily for us, dragon fruit grows surprisingly quickly, and by the start of the following week, the fruits had reached the size of mangoes and started to turn red. The plan was this: we would ask my granddad if we could camp up in his garden overnight. Then it would be simple enough to sneak down the vegetable patch and look for the hatching dragons. My grandparents wouldn't even know because they would be fast asleep. And surely there'd be no chance of running into Grim in the dead of night. Even luckier, there was a teacher training day at school on Friday, so we could all camp out on the Thursday night, catch the dragons, and then have an extra long weekend to play with them. You really do have to admire my optimism. He sounds like he's got it all planned, doesn't he? So, with Kat and Kai as our team organisers, Operation Fruit Burst got into full swing. Planning is what the twins do best, and by Wednesday morning we had provisions, equipment lists, and an hour-by-hour timetable of the whole event. It wasn't the worst plan ever. It might even have worked. In the afternoon, as Flicker settled... In the afternoon, as Flicker settled down in the toy box, scratching my latest comic into comfortable-sized pieces for his bed, I looked at the list supplied by Captains Cat and Kai. I scanned to see what I was expected to bring. It seemed pretty thorough. You know, for just one night. And here we've got a list of their provisions. So we'll go through it. It says provision and equipment list by Cat and Kai. Sandwiches, Cat in brackets. Marmite and peanut butter, honey, and chocolate spread, golden syrup with hundreds and thousands. Ooh, they sound awful. Cake. This is Ted's basic collection. Iced buns, currant buns, jam donuts, custard donuts, gingerbread, treacle tarts, lemon, sprinkle fairy cakes, chocolate muffins, chocolate chip cookies, chocolate cupcakes, and chocolate brownies. Wow, what a sweet tooth. They're going to have lots of cakes and biscuits for their overnight stay. Chocolate. In brackets, there's Cat's and Kai's birthday leftovers. And then it says emergency chocolate for hypothermia. So hypothermia is in case they get too cold or sleepy. Chocolate would give them energy. Chocolate is jam-packed full of sugar and it does give you energy. Extra emergency chocolate for when Ted eats the emergency chocolate. Then we have tent, sleeping bags, sleeping mats, torches, night vision goggles, walkie-talkies, compass, water bottles filled, obviously, mallet, bandages, smelly stuff for repelling bugs, string, woolly hats, nets, and face paint. Why face paint? Useful books, camping in the wild outdoors, The Ultimate Survival Handbook, How to Survive a Bear Attack, and 101 Deadly Plants. Sounds like they've got it really covered, doesn't it? I wasn't sure where I was going to get half of this stuff. The only walkie-talkies I could find were Lolly's, Dora the Explorer ones, and I wasn't going to be taking those. As it turned out, the main thing we needed was a tent. And I bet you can guess what we forgot. So there we were on Thursday, finally ready to put our plan into action, and yep, no tent. Luckily, Grandad had one kicking around in his garage, along with various other bits of dodgy camping kit, including some rusty saucepans, which none of us fancied touching, let alone eating from, and an old lantern. We've had a fair few adventures with this lot. Me and your Nan, Grandad chuckled. Stick it in the front garden, Nana said, and then added, that way you're nice and close for anyone needing to pop in to use the facilities. What does Nana mean by the facilities, do you think? If they're camping out all night? Yeah, the facilities are the toilets. Which is her polite way of saying the downstairs toilet, which is just inside the front door. So under Grandad's instruction and in between his stories of camping in the wilderness, we put it up. Smells like feet, whispered Kat, screwing up her nose. It looks a bit small, murmured Kai. And droopy, mouthed Ted. Good sturdy tent that, said Grandad, resting his hand on one of the tent poles and then quickly taking it away again as the whole thing started to sag precariously. We've got a nice picture of them. Oh, I'm not sure if I'd like to stay in that tent. Good job we aren't planning on sleeping much, murmured Ted. By the time Grandad left us to go inside, we had got pretty well organised. There wasn't much room, but we figured being that close together would probably help prevent the whole hypothermia thing, which Kai insisted on reading to us about from Horrendous Hazards and How to Avoid Them, a guide to camping. I'm not sure we needed to hear in such detail about the stages of frostbite or to see all those pictures of fingerless hands, but as camp doctor, he was taking no chances. Right, said Kat, as we huddled round the flickering lantern. Time to get camouflaged. Operation Fruit Burst is go! And that takes us to chapter 23, and chapter 23 is called Attack of the Killer Leaf. Dun, dun, dun.